Right, so in today's video we're going to be getting on fertilising the lawn today, and we're going to be discussing sort of the best way to sort of fertilise your lawn, whether you should be going with a drop spreader like this, or whether you should be going with something that's rotary like the hand spreader I've got hold of right now. But before we do, let's have a look at the lawns we're going to be fertilising today. So before you even do get on and fertilise your lawn, one of the first things you've really got to ask yourself is, why are you fertilising the space? Now, for the most part, when you're getting fertiliser down, you're trying to increase the density of the actual sward. So by putting something down this today, it's going to increase the growth rate of all the plants knocking about in the lawn, which is obviously then, as a result, going to really thicken up the space. Now you can see from this lawn at the moment, it's in a really nice, thick condition as is. It's been around about a month now since this lawn had its last application of fertiliser. This lawn's looking a little bit shorter than it was a few weeks back, and that's because a couple of days ago I took the height cut on this lawn down from the middle setting on the heater, which is like the third lowest, down to the second lowest setting. The main reason why I did it is because when I scalped this lawn a few weeks back, or a month or so ago, with the overseeding project on it, it seemed to handle the scalping quite well. So I thought, right, I'll bring the height cut down. I don't mind watering it when we get some sort of dry spells later on in the summer, and at the moment the weather's quite fair. We're having some warmer days like today when the sun's out. We are getting a fair bit of rain with that too, so it's going to water that fertiliser well. It's not going to be under too much stress. I mean, if we are expecting like a heat wave or like a really hot spell, you can let your grass grow out a little bit longer, makes it that little bit more resilient, or you can get on and water it. It's entirely up to you. And I've shown this space off quite a few times this year as well. And again, I'm going to be getting on giving this a feed today. It's had one feed so far this year. That's started to wear off a little bit, and you can tell that this lawn is much longer. I've been cutting it on the second highest setting on the Bosch Rotary. Today, again, I'm bringing that height cut down. We're going to go on the middle setting, the third highest setting on the Bosch, just because that a little bit shorter, because I think the lawn's going to be able to obviously cope with that now. Getting a little bit warmer, we've had quite a bit of rain. I've also got a new watering solution for this space. So the original plan was not to water this space, but stay tuned, because I've got something that's going to help us solve that problem. But again, because I'm putting that plant under a little bit of stress, I'm going to get some feed on it today after we give it a cut, just to give it that boost. So that moves us on to fertilising then, and it brings us back to these two spreaders now. Both spreaders will both do a job, will both apply fertiliser to your lawn, but they both have the pros and cons as well when it comes to that. So if we start off with this one, this is the Scotch spreader. Now, if you look online at your local garden centre, it can cost you anywhere from, I'd say, £50 to £65-ish, give or take. I've had this one now for around about 2.5-3 years, and honestly, no complaints. It's absolutely superb. Now, what this is ideal for is applying grass seed to your lawn, because when you're applying grass seed, what you want it to do is fall exactly where you want it to go. And with a drop spreader, there's holes right on the bottom. You pull the handle, opens the holes, and quite literally, like the name suggests, the seed drops out the bottom. Now, same kettle of fish goes for if you're putting fertiliser down onto your lawn. It's going to drop those granules exactly where you want them to go. Now, the benefit of using one of these for fertiliser is that it's not going to spread it into any plants that you've got knocking about, or onto any patios or roads, anything like that, or any decking or whatnot. So it's a really precise application, and you don't waste any of your product either. Everything you apply goes down onto the lawn. However, the downside of something like this is that what you can end up doing is, if you leave a gap in between your two rows, you can end up with a space that you don't get any fertiliser in, or you could even overlap a little bit too much and end up with some darker stripes and some lighter stripes. Now, you do see a few things online with this happening. However, I've used this drop spreader, like I said, for 2.5-3 years. I've used it consistently to apply fertilisers to different lawns. I've never had any issues with any discoloration in striping. So I think it's a superb bit of kit when it comes to fertilising, but it's not always the best. Now, something like this, You can hear it there, it's rotary. It's got a little rotating disc in the bottom, and all that does is when you're obviously going across your lawn, it's scattering the fertilizer in a much more random pattern, which is a great way to actually distribute the fertilizer across the lawn. And like I said, you know, you don't get like the disadvantages of this one, where you're not going to be leaving like spaces where there's going to be no fertilizer. It's going to spread it about. Now, again, you know, a positive of that is you get a more sort of even distribution across your lawn. However, a big negative of using something like this, for one, is wind. And you can see today it is a little bit breezy, so obviously a little bit of a higher altitude spreading the fertilizer. This one much lower to the ground, it's not really going to be disturbed by the wind very much. This one obviously will be, but also as well, you can end up getting some of the fertilizer in your beds, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just going to fertilize the plants, but you are going to get onto patios and roads and decking and whatnot. So those hard surfaces, especially if your fertilizer contains iron, which is obviously staining, you can end up wasting a little bit of product. Now that's the case for me if you're working on lawns this size. If you're working on massive lawns, then you're not going to have those same issues with a rotary spreader. But today I'm going to be using both of these because this lawn, as you can see, it's very, very small. We've got obviously the road there, the paths here, so I'm going to be using the drop spreader on this lawn today. And then on the grass verge at the front, we're going to be getting on with the hand spreader. Because of the spreading pattern that this spreader has, I can literally just walk up the centre, up and down a few times until all the fertiliser's gone, and that's going to give us a perfect distribution of fertiliser over there. Now, with any fertiliser you put down, you're going to want to make sure you actually weigh out exactly what you sort of need. Sometimes in the past I've eyeballed it, but today I'm getting on with quite a precise application, or precise-ish anyway. Now I know this fertiliser, one scoop in here is around about 500 grams, and with the space I've got, I need just over that, so put a little bit extra in to the spreader. That's going to be a perfect amount to apply to this lawn. So with the grass verge, it's a little bit bigger than this lawn that I fertilised before. So getting on with around about 3 scoops of the fertiliser, so around roughly sort of 1.5 kilos. Now, like I said before, we're using the rotary spreader for this. It is a little bit windy, but the bush is over there, but hopefully that breaks some of the wind as I apply it. Now, the one thing I didn't forget to mention before is the actual price of this spreader. So this one costs roughly the same as the drop spreader, maybe £5 or £10 more, depending on where you get it from, and that's including the battery as well. I've used this now maybe 5 or 6 times, and it's still got a full charge on it, so it's going to last a fair distance depending on wherever you're actually fertilising. So hopefully, got quite a big lawn, it can still do the job. Now, I do know some people are going to be cringing as well with all this long grass that's knocking about on the side of the actual lawn. I mean, I left it for a while now. It's got a little bit out of hand. It's something we'll be dealing with by the end of this week. Just can't be bothered at the moment, and I guess that's why this is the Novice Gardener channel, because there's some jobs that I just kind of leave to the last minute. Now, in terms of the settings to this, I've got my 4th setting for the actual size of the hole that it's dispensing from, and I've got the speed set at 4 as well. Now, I'll be really honest as well, in terms of usability and just speed and accessibility of actually getting out and fertilising your lawn, this one definitely takes the cake, because I mean, the battery's in it. As long as it's charged, literally whack a little bit of fertiliser in, come out, blast it onto the lawn, job's good. And I mean, the drop spreader, it is relatively straightforward to get out and quick, but I don't think it's as quick and easy as using this. So in terms of which one I actually prefer, I mean, I think they both got the place, to be honest. I think they're definitely both worth the money, because although they're a little bit of an expense to begin with, you're going to get so much use out of them. You're going to use them so many times. I mean, like I said, this 2.5, 3 years old, roughly. It's been used like every month almost since I bought it. And this one I bought around about a month and a half ago. and I've used it a shed ton of times already, and plus the battery still is on 3 lights, which is, you know, not even halfway lost its charge. I mean, I know it's only rotating a little disc, it's not that powerful, but in terms of ease of use, it's absolutely spot on. They do both have the pros and cons. This one, it's going to be more precise in terms of you're not going to lose any fertilizer, but there's that risk of overlapping or underlapping the spaces. And this one, you are going to get a more even distribution across your entire lawn. However, with this, you're going to waste a little bit more product. With this one, you're not going to waste any. So, you know, it depends entirely on your situation. If you're on a bigger space, just use one of these. It makes a lot more sense. If you've got a tiny lawn, you've got patios knocking about, then this is going to be your best mate, isn't it, really? Because it's going to do a job for you. And I mean, I get equal use out of both of them just because I use them in different spaces for slightly different jobs. So thanks for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to give it a like, and if you'd like to follow along with the rest of these lawn care videos, or if you'd like to check out any of my garden renovation series, then you can head over to my channel, check those out, and if you enjoy them, feel free to subscribe. And finally, thanks for watching.